Welcome, everybody, to the latest live session with Trade Pending. We've got an absolute banger in store for you today. We've got the 4 factors of great sales management with special guest Tom Stuker, the Godfather of BDC. Let's get going. We're not messing around here today. You've got me. I'm Matthew, Chief Marketing Officer at Trade Pending. We've got Tom with us. Tom, I'll introduce you in just a moment. Sit tight. As we always do, we'll record this. We will share it out afterwards. And please ask questions as we go. Submit questions using the Q&A feature, use the chat feature, whatever you want. We'll take them as we get them, or we'll take them at the end. And if we don't have time to answer it, we'll get to them anyway. Please, if you're not yet, check us out, Trade Pending TV. We're on all the social channels. We post things like this. We post our best practices content. We post some semi-ridiculous stuff where we go and interview people on the street about how much their car's worth. It's a good time. Check it out. All right. So we're pleased today to have Tom joining us, founder of Automotive Training Network. His contact information is there. He's been in the business over 43 years with sales and management, training and consultation, mostly in automotive. Worked with over 10,000 dealerships, both here domestically and internationally abroad, and has had some of the best rise up through his organization, like Grant Cardone, right? Everyone knows those names, and hundreds of others. And he has pioneered the BDC concept, implemented, predicted that over half of dealerships across the country would have some form or fashion of BDC in store, and they do today. We're pleased to welcome Tom. Thank you for joining us. Please say hello.
Hey, Matthew, how you doing, bud? First of all, I'm not associated with ATN anymore. They use my name. They use some of my training techniques. I'm completely independent at this point. At the end of the show, I'll give an email address and that anybody can personally reach out to me, and I'll talk to them personally to help them out. Okay.
You got it.
So let's get going here. It's normally about a 2-hour presentation, so we're going to try to squeeze in the best we can over this period of time. So let's start off with a couple statements that are just terrible, terrible realities in our business and have been for the 43 years, no, 50, about 50 years I've been in the business, starting selling and managing. So here's the thing, 95% of all salespeople, or more, probably more than 95%, currently today in dealerships around the country are not succeeding, they're surviving. At the beginning of the month, they might as well throw a dart at the board for what number they said they're going to go for, but they have no plan. If I sat down and somebody says, I'm going to do 16 this month, I'm going to say, tell me where the sales are coming from and how are you going to do it? And what is your pace per day? How many opportunities? I mean, it's ridiculous that salespeople literally are surviving and not succeeding. I'll get into more particulars, but there's 4 factors that will guarantee you a winning sales team. You want to increase your sales 25% in 90 days, then you got to focus on these 4 factors, the 4 factors of success to build a winning sales team. Number 1 is the interview process. You've got to know how to interview people correctly, not just have them breathe on glass or whatever the old saying is, but I'm going to get into the interview techniques, hiring, how to hire people correctly. It's better to be shorthanded with strong salespeople than long on mediocrity or losers. Next, training. What do you train them before you put them on the floor? And last, and most importantly, you got to manage these people with accountability. It's how you manage them on a day-to-day basis and how you hold people accountable. So let's get right into the interview process. On the day, it never stops. Most dealerships, again, 90+%, 99%, almost hire out of panic. They wait till they're shorthanded. And when you're shorthanded, you end up panic hiring, which means you settle for less. Next, panic training. Because you're shorthanded, you want to get them on the floor right away. So you shortcut the training process. You let them shadow a salesperson that still does not know how to train a salesperson or is terrible shadowing. Next comes panic management. Because you're shorthanded, and this is slight defense. The one defense I'll make for management out there is the average manager drives to work with 30 things to get done during the day, gets half of them done, but during the day, another 15 things pop up. Sales management is not the easiest thing to do. We don't live in a perfect world because there's always something else, something to distract us. But there's simple things we can do managing people on a day-to-day basis. So the next thing we want to talk about is that when we get into the interview and hiring process, the two essential characteristics that I look for, that you should look for in hiring salespeople. Number one, work ethic. I could teach a monkey to sell 20 cars a month. Really can. Last time I did a 20 group, they wanted the number to the zoo. They thought I was serious. But get somebody with the work ethic. How many dealerships have I been in where I got very, very talented people that are sitting on their ass not doing anything because they don't have a work ethic? They're just mailing it in. Second of all, manageability. Now, I don't mind people challenging some of my thoughts as a manager. I'll probably listen to a 20-car month person a little more than I'll listen to the 4-car month guy who goes, "You know what the problem with this place is?" Yeah, it seems like that happens with the 6-car month guy all the time. So I want people, it's not that I don't ask them to challenge me, but I am the boss. This is what I need you to do. Just do it. So I need people that are manageable and coachable. All right. So let's get into the, and here's another thing. Always be recruiting. Always be recruiting. If you are happy with 10 people on your staff, I don't care if 2 killer people come that you run into. Don't say, well, I'm not hiring right now. You will always hire a winner. You will always hire and make room. So you have 11 or 12. It's not that you're looking for natural attrition, because if you hire salespeople, I mean salespeople, not order takers. If you have proactive people in your dealership, then if you can go from 10 to 12, you can go 10 to 15, because you have salespeople that are waking up to sell cars and not coming to work to wait for someone to buy. In the interview and hiring process, always be advertising on your dealership website, a Monster, Indeed, whatever. Always be looking for salespeople. If you had a professional football franchise, the roster's 53. But if there was an all-pro guy on the waiver list, you'd pick him up in 2 seconds if you wanted a better linebacker. We always want the best salespeople, so always be looking, always be hiring, and hire that person. Forget about, well, we don't have the payroll. We need a whole different talk on that. But during the interview process, you got to be proactively hiring, and you hire for the marketplace, not for the floor. Another mistake over 90% of managers make. They go, well, we don't have enough traffic for 12 salespeople. Then you're not managing right. You have to manage to be proactive. You have to manage for the marketplace. What share of the marketplace you have, and not, geez, we just need enough people for the floor. We don't have enough traffic to support 12 people. Then you're managing completely wrong if you're hiring for the floor. And don't recycle. And when a guy comes to interview and has been at 8 dealerships in the last 5 years, take a pass. You don't need jumpers. There's a reason why they're constantly being recycled. It's the salesperson, trust me. So the interview, all right? The interview process, you should never, ever hire on the first interview, ever. You should be taking 2 or 3 days apart from the first interview to the second interview. Interview away from the dealership, sometimes it's a little easier said than done, but sometimes to be away is more relaxing for both parties. Dealership groups, and when you work in a dealership group, you should act as a dealership group. You should hire at the same time. It's going to save a lot of man hours for everybody. It's going to save a lot of money and time and testing. So if you're in a dealer group, then act like a dealer group. You might not like this candidate, but someone from the Hyundai store or the Toyota store might jump all over them because it might fit their personality a lot more.
Hey,
now
Tom,
I'm going to give you some. Yeah.
Why do you like interviewing outside the dealership? What is it about that?
Sometimes it's a little more relaxing, a little less threatening. I've really softened my stance a lot on that because, to tell you the truth, I probably lean towards more of the dealership now, because part of my interview process might be walking around introducing them to different department heads, showing our facilities. So I probably would rescind that and lean more towards the dealership today more than ever before. So I'm glad you brought that up. Let's make that correction. because I want them to meet the other department heads. I want them to see our facilities. I want them to see if they really want to work for us. So here, interview questions. But I'm glad you brought that up, because let's clarify that. So interview questions, not in any order, but some of the questions would be, what was your favorite job and why? All right. All right. So give an idea of what they really like to thrive on. A more important question, a very important question, a must question for every manager. Who is your favorite manager of all the jobs you've had so far? Who is your favorite manager and why? Who was your least favorite manager and why? One of those answers is going to describe you, Mr. Manager. Either they're going to say, they're going to describe the person that's like you that they don't like and why. Or they're going to say, this is my favorite manager. Let me give you a quick example. Who's your favorite manager? Tom Stuker. Why? Every morning he would sit down with me and work on my 3 best possible sales opportunities and work with me on help converting them to a sale that day. He would basically always say, what can I do to help you? How can I help you? Right? He would always do training sessions every morning in a sales meeting. Who is your least favorite sales manager? Oh, Tom Stuker. Why? Every day he wanted to sit down with me and go over all my opportunities. I'm a professional. I know what to do. I don't need to be mothered or smothered. And every day he had to have a sales meeting. Like, there's something new for me to learn. I know it all, right? So you kind of get the gist here. They're going to basically say, you would be a good manager for me, or you'd be the bad manager for me. And there's a big telltale sign there that say, this is not my guy, or this is my guy. So next, if you made an extra $2,000 a month, let's say the applicant's making $3,000 a month, and you want them to sell enough cars that would make them $5,000 a month. So they're not going to do that. They might work hard enough to make sure they got their nut covered of $3,000. I need a $5,000 salesperson. If you want someone to sell at least 12, and 12 would pay about $5,000 or whatever, then you've got to basically say, well, I see, Jim, you've been making $3,000 for the last 2 years. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but I need $5,000 a month salespeople. I need people to sell 12, not 8. So if you were making $5,000 a month and you were making $2,000 a month more than you've ever made before, what would you do with the money? So you're going to get some bogus answers that they think you want to hear. Oh, I'd invested, in what? Stocks. What have you been following? What is it trading at? In other words, don't bullshit me, right? So what would you do with an extra $2,000? I don't know. That's a good question. You know what? It's a damn good question, Mr. Manager, because if you want them to sell 12 plus or 15 plus, and it's $5,000 a month, then when that's $2,000 more than they're making right now, if they don't know what to do with the extra $2,000, if they have no reason to make the extra $2,000, then they have no reason to sell 12 or 15 or whatever that number is. So what are you going to do? Hire another 8-car a month salesperson? No. The minimum. Anybody that doesn't sell 15 cars a month in a dealership, I used to use the number 20. You can use any number, but anybody that doesn't sell 15 a month either doesn't know how or doesn't want to. It's that simple. Anybody that doesn't sell 15 or whatever the number is either doesn't have enough opportunities or has enough and doesn't manage them well. Both of those can be fixed easily. All right, interview questions. Let's get to homework assignments. That's right. When I interview someone, I give them homework assignments. I want someone that wants to work for me, not just have a job. So I'm looking for, let's see, homework assignments. There we go. Here, turn my page. I got my notes too. All right. I want their financial goals in writing. In other words, what would you do with the extra $2,000? And they finally come back and say, well, I want to get a boat. All right. So, okay, how much are you putting down? What are the monthly payments? Come back to the second interview. Show me the boat. Show me a proposal to buy it. Show me the down payment. Show me the monthly payments. I want you to live in that boat in your head so much, because in the first 90 days, I'm going to help you get your boat. We'll get in that in a second, right? But I want somebody that has a reason to make more money specifically, right? All right. Also, get them to take the time to know the product, right? If you're selling Toyota, say, what's your favorite car we have? Camry. Okay, Camry, it competes against the Honda Accord. When you come back, I want you to look up Honda Accord. I want you to take this information I email you on the Camry. I want you to tell me why, give me 3 reasons why someone should buy a Camry over an Accord. If they're too lazy to do that, then they're unmanageable, they're uncoachable. The best time to coach them, the easiest time to coach them is when they're looking for a job. And if I can't get that done right, party's over. I'm not taking this person on. I don't care if I go 20 people in the interview process and don't hire one. I want the right person. I want someone that knows what they're doing, has goals to make more money, knows specifically what to do with that money, and will do what it takes to work for me as a manager. Next, develop, I want them to write down a list of 50 people, whether it's friends, relatives, co-workers, past co-workers, people that they feel they have a chance to do business with. Someone that if I train them how to soft sell them, that they can get an appointment to get them to come in here when the time's right for them to buy a car from you. I want you to be proactive, Mr. Applicant, right? Second interview. Yeah, I believe in a second interview. I believe in another manager so we can have 2 points of view, not just one. I like the significant other in there because I always offer a contest to a new salesperson. God, this is going to go by so fast. There's so much to share. So here's the first contest. This is the best sales contest you could ever give a salesperson, ever. Because what you get in the first 90 days sets the tone for what you're going to have forever in a dealership. I'll give you an example. If a person, let's go with the first 4 months. First 4 months, a salesperson goes 8, 8, 8, and then sells 12 in month number 4. So what do you think they're thinking on the first day of month 5? I'll tell you what they're thinking. They're going to give an excuse and make excuses for the 12 instead of saying, now I set the bar higher, I'm going to be 12 from now on. No, they've already conditioned themselves to be an 8-car a month salesperson. So what they're going to do is they're likely to go back to 8 than to move on. Now, what about the person that goes 12, 12, 12 and down to 8? What are they thinking on the month 5 on day 1? They're thinking, what the hell happened to me last month? I'm a 12-car a month guy. What the hell happened? I got to get my act together and get back to 12. Would you agree? I mean, would you agree, Matthew?
Absolutely.
So what we need to do is have a contest saying, what would you do with an extra? We have a really good pay plan, but if I had a $2,500 bonus, what would you do with the money? He says, and don't give cash out for this prize. When a guy says, I'd put new carpeting in, all right, I want you to come back in a second interview and show me what the carpeting costs. Show me how much that boat costs. Show me how much that other car that you want to get, right? So give me your financial goals. Now you take those financial goals and you say, okay, the first 90 days, Tom, if you do 12, 12, 12. Now you can do 22, but you can't do 11. I need you to do 12 sales a month for the first 3 months, right? I mean, each month, can't back down. If you do 12, 12, 12, or whatever the number is, 10, 15, depending on what kind of volume you do in your stores. So if you do that number 3 consecutive months, month 1, month 2, month 3, which establishes them who they are, then I'll pay $2,500 towards your boat. I'll pay $2,500 to the carpeting, right? But make a down payment to the carpet, make a down payment to the boat, because when they're in that boat, when they're walking on that carpeting, they know it was you that made that happen, right? So am I going too fast, Matthew? You kind of
You're doing great, man. We got about 11 minutes, so all right, keep it running.
Gosh, so much to share. There's not a dealership in the country that can't dramatically improve if you're hiring the right way, and then we got to get into interviewing the right way, and you incentivize them by making the contest. The best contest is to get them help on their focused financial goal the first 90 days. Now comes the training, because that's important, right? Dealerships. Okay, now, Matthew, did you ever sell cars?
No, but I sold software for a decade.
Okay, I got you. All right, but all the managers there, probably all of them sold cars. And I'm asking the managers out there, when you came on board to the first dealership you worked at, did they say, how many sales do you want to do every month, or how much money you want to make? And they go, well, I want to make $8,000. Well, that's going to be 20 sales a month. So did you train that salesperson? You, Mr. Manager, did they train you how to sell 20 units a month. If I came to your dealership, I'd want to be very successful. I'd want to make 100 grand. And, well, if I was a salesperson, whatever, I'm just using an example. If a salesperson you really believe has the potential to sell 20, so are you going to teach them how to sell 20? Or are you going to just put them through some road to the sale bullshit, some fundamentals on how to handle an internet or whatever, and then put them on the floor where they spend 60% of their time doing nothing but waiting for someone yet you already brought in there for them? Most of your dealerships have thousands and thousands of past customers in a database. Now you got to learn to take your CRM and turn it into an ATM. I can get any dealership to do that. I mean, you got to teach salespeople how to create their own business. A best salesperson is I could train someone that before they hit the floor, don't need an up for the rest of their life and can outsell anybody in the dealership. And that's the kind of people you should be hiring right now. Instead of hiring people that, hey, if it gets slow, we sell less. No. If you have 12,000 people in your database, and most of you have a lot more, 12,000 people, 12,000 households own 24,000 vehicles. They're traded every 4 years. All of them, on the average, some a little less, a little more. But that means there's 6,000 people that are in your database that bought from you, were happy at one time, or they wouldn't have made the decision. And all you have to do is keep in touch, be aware of their opportunities, and manage those opportunities. And Jesus, that's 6,000 sales, 500 a month that are coming out of your database. That's without any referrals or any walk-ins or whatever. How much of that business are you maximizing? This is going to go too fast, but it's so easy to take any dealership and turn their CRM into an ATM. Make your salespeople instead of where they come to work and all they're focused on is selling cars rather than waiting for someone to buy something from them. Training agenda, I could spend 15, 20 minutes on that, but you have to train people. I mean, I'm going to ask the managers out there, how much of your training agenda is teaching them how to master the art of the referral? Because anybody that can master that referral in almost any dealership can do 10 sales a month just on referrals. Easy. What about how you teaching them how to work the CRM? All right. Here's a good question for you managers. Take your best 2 or 3 salespeople. When you think about customer follow-up and repeat referral business, wait till you see that your best people on a scale of 1 to 10 are probably about a 2. Because here's the questions you're going to ask the top 3 people. You're going to say, if I randomly, and actually you could randomly pick 20 people out of their CRM, take an A, take a B, take a C, take 20 profiles randomly, and then ask the salespeople. First of all, the most important thing about follow-up is accessibility. Do we have homework cell? Do we have all that information, email addresses? And then ask them, how many of these profiles, do you know how many drivers are in their household? How many of these households, do you know how many drivers, how many vehicles, who drives what, who's next in line to buy, all right? What they're likely to look for, what their buying signals are or strengths, and when is your next recontact date to stay right on track to make them your easiest sale of the day. I mean, nothing's easier than repeat referral business. So how much of your training is teaching people how to take the CRM, how to take 600 customers and turn it into 20 to 25 sales a month? Because I'll pay 10 grand. I teach people this. For hundreds of thousands of salespeople. And I give everybody, when I teach them exactly how to sell 20 cars a month on less than 10 quality conversations a day, I put up $10,000 for the first salesperson that proves it cannot be done. Guess how many checks I've written in 40 years? 0. Because it's so easy to teach salespeople how to sell 20 a month on less than 10 quality conversations a day. The amount of money you guys spend in advertising to build a database with hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars over a period of 3, 4, 5 years, and it's on a scale of 1 to 10, you're probably using a 1 or a 2 mostly. What are you doing? Printing out labels to send Christmas cards that are spelled wrong to people? All right. I don't know. I'm getting a little, okay, now I missed my spot.
That's all
You know
right.
what? I love this business, and I love working with people that love it too. But you know
Yeah,
what?
there was
You're
lots of weeks there on training. Weeks one,
well, you
two,
know
and
what?
three.
Well, yeah, you know what? Oh, here's another thing. And this is if they work for me, they would work in my BDC. If I don't have a BDC, they would work at their desk, work in the database 9 to 5 for a minimum of 1 week until they have 100 profiles put together for me. And a profile means that here's Tom Stuker. He bought from us. I've contacted him and I've turned it into a household profile. This is how many drivers they have. This is how many vehicles they have. The next person to buy is Johnny, the son, who's going back to school in August. And then around July, they want to get a used car, preferably something economical, and probably somewhere in the $8,000 to $10,000 range, somewhere in there. So I got that. So can you give me 100 profiles out of the current CRM? Then you can work the floor. But I want you to learn, Mr. Salesperson, in the first week you're on the floor in my dealership, that you can work the evening traffic because that's when we usually have a little more. You can work weekends, but Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, until you have 100 profiles and you effectively ask them all for referrals, where in 1 week, you're starting to convince yourself, I can make more money working the phones with my customers than I can by standing around waiting for ops. I'm standing there with 3 other salespeople and they got to fight over who's going to take the next guy. Really? That's bullshit. And by the way, I could do a whole thing on open floor compared to managed floor. And that's another way to increase your business, at least 5 to 10% in sales, not changing the process, but making sure that you're managing the opportunities effectively. All right. So what do we got
All right,
here?
so Tom, we should probably jump into the managed accountability section here.
Yeah. Okay. So managed accountability. Here's the best advice I give to a manager. Every single day. This is the simplest management technique ever. Once a day, you take a salesperson. Don't do 15-minute one-on-ones. Who came up with that bullshit? It's an unrealistic expectation. You sit down with each salesperson and you ask them one question. You say, okay, Matthew, give me 3 people we have a chance to do business with today. Give me 3 people we have a chance to do business with today. Okay, what made you think of Tom? What made you think of Eddie? What made you think of Mary Ann? Right? So let's qualify to make sure that as a manager, you agree that we have a chance with them today. Oh, they're out of town to next Tuesday. No, Matthew, I said, give me 3 we have a chance to do business with today. If you have 10 salespeople and you have at least 30 opportunities to do business with today before the door opens, now you're managing. Now, if a salesperson gives me the same 3, 5 days in a row, guess what? Someone's not doing jack shit. Excuse me. I shouldn't be using that. Someone's not doing squat. Right, to really manage their database. Someone's not prospecting. Someone's not following up. Someone's not asking for referrals. If the best 3 every day are the same 3 and those were all floor traffic. So that's a salesperson that better start changing his thinking or change his address. That's one simple thing to do every day. Give me 3 people. We have a chance to. Do I want the pressure on my people? You're damn straight. Because I'm here as a manager to win. I want to raise and pay. I want to sell more cars. I might want my own store one day. And I can't have a store or run a store or think I'm going to be successful as a manager or an owner if all I do is reactively manage and reactively sell. You're doomed in this business by the other savvy stores in the market that starts figuring out how to work so much more intelligently, right? And when it comes to phone ups or internet leads, don't tell me you just inadvertently just randomly give everybody their equal share. That's a piss poor way to manage. The amount of internet leads that I bring to the store as an owner and manager, the amount of phone ups that I create for this store, they should be taken based on how they're being handled. If you're taking phone ups and not closing at least 15% of your phone ups, then you're on probation for a month. And if you fail to do that, then you have to earn your way into the rotation. I'm not going to have somebody take 50 phone ups or 50 internet leads, sell 2, 3, or 4 of them, and just keep burning and burning. Nope. If you had 50 internet leads and you only sold 5 of them, all right, guess what? You need to work on the other 45 till I think you've exhausted at those 45. Then I'll give you more. We're just giving people, and we're not holding people accountable to a standard of performance. I need X% of my internet leads sold by you, Mr. Salesperson. I need X% of phone ups sold by you, Mr. Salesperson. I will work with you on every lead and help you in every way. So there's no excuses not to get that number. But if you're not hitting that number, then it's unfair to the guy that's selling 25% of my internet leads, 25% of my phone ups, that he should get the same amount as you. No. I will reward and I will give more leads to the people that do a better job with them. Why? Because that's my job as a manager, right? All right. You know what? Are there any questions that we should be working on?
Yeah, that's it. How you've blasted through that, and your passion is evident. Your expertise is clear. Thank you for that. We'll look here. If anyone has any questions for Tom, throw them in the Q&A now.
All right. While we're waiting for a possible question, right? I want everybody to know that I still take some dealerships on, mostly customers I've had over the years, that I know what their beliefs are. I know how much they believe in training people. But one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this, Matthew, is that, do you know how many great salespeople really, really never get launched? I mean, when I first met Grant Cardone, right? He's one of the best in the business. I really is. He's done a great job. But when I met him in my workshop, he was making $3,000 a month. Nobody taught him how to become a real salesperson. It was pretty much just reactive selling, and he's making $3,000 a month. And at the end of the workshop, I knew during the workshop because he took a lot of notes. And after the workshop, we talked for a couple hours. I said, one of these days you're going to come work for me. He says, when is that? I said, you'll know the time, and then you'll call me. 9 months later, he says, I think I'm ready. I said, who is this? It's Grant Cardone. Refresh my memory. Louisiana. I remember you, Grant. He goes, you told me to call you when I'm ready. I think I'm ready. It was in January. I said, why do you think you're ready? He says, I sold 31 in December. I said, not bad. He says, I took the last 2 weeks off. I said, you're ready, right? Because he did what he didn't do what I trained him to do. He did what he knew now was the correct and intelligent way to sell cars. So he became very proactive. And Grant just got better and better and better. And he literally knew that you have to control your own income. As a salesperson that's taught the right way, if you hire the right people, then you got the right people to train. You got people that are focused from day one. They're not here till their Amway catches fire, until there's a better job for them somewhere, being a YouTuber or something. I want a person that loves the car business, wants to sell cars, wants to become the best salesperson he can, wants to be number one on the board. I want 10 guys to be wanting to be number one. I want a really competitive sales force working in a friendly environment, but all working on controlling their own income. I want to take the hundreds of thousands of dollars, the millions of dollars I have invested in my brick and mortar and mostly in my database, and I want to turn that into much more repeat referral sales.
All right, we got some questions coming in here, Tom.
Okay, give me one.
First one. What do you believe is the true purpose of a BDC, and at what capacity should they have in the overall deal?
Okay, you know what? That's a great question, because the answer is a couple different answers. It all depends on a lot of the management. The BDC concept was I invented it because of how weak management was around the country. It still is a good reason to have one. But if you're a really good manager and you have a team that like I described, I would have them take the phone ups instead of the BDC. I would have them taking net leads, although there's a certain way to manage it, because the BDC is the ultimate in what I call opportunity management. In my opinion, a BDC today, if I had a BDC myself, and I'm the one that started this whole process, I would have a hybrid. I'd have salespeople in there, and I'd have a specialist in there. And there's a lot of different specialists. here's one of the specialists. If I got guys that are doing about 20 plus cars a month, I would hire a person that does nothing but work that person's database, because it's easier to turn a 20 into 40 than it is an 8 to a 15. So
got it. All right, next question.
It all depends. If a guy wants to reach out to me and I could literally analyze their dealership and their personnel, I can give a more defined answer without sounding like I'm running around with it. But totally. I mean, obviously, if you can increase sales without the expense of a BDC, that makes sense. Not too many managers are really at this point in their career ready to do that and capable of doing that. So a BDC literally turbocharges a great management team, but it also exposes the weakness of a weaker team at the same time.
All right, next question. What's the conversion ratios you are looking for on phone and internet leads?
A lot of depend on the source of the lead. If they're generic or just done through the website, or are you paying? Are they leads that you're getting from a lead source? But typically today, because more and more people on phone ups, I'd expect a higher conversion rate, because most people will call a dealership that's kind of close to them, but internet leads can come a little further away from their direct market area. But on phone ups, what you do is you start literally you got to track your leads to begin with and see what your delivery ratio is. But on phone ups, minimum of 15 of not the good ones, but of all leads, right? And same way with internet. A lot depends on how you're advertising. A lot of people advertise where it's kind of bogus advertising, so they get kind of bogus leads. So I'd have to take a look at your dealership, but what you do is you set a standard, and you listen to the phone ups, and you listen to the and you view the internet leads, but you start off at a standard, start off at a minimum of 12.5%, see how many people hit that, and then just keep raising the bar to know that, hey, we're doing 14%, and we're not even doing this, we're not doing this. We got half the people that are doing under 8%. So if we can either improve or eliminate the 8%ers and then polish up the 15, 18%ers, we could be at a 20% delivery ratio. You have less patient customers today than you have before. So you have more people calling to buy, right? Not to shop. You have more internet leads that are trying to buy rather than to shop. So you have a higher quality lead, which means your conversion rate should be higher than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. So right, I can help any manager if they want to reach out to me to start setting a management process for both internet and phone ups. Next question.
All right, this one is for me. I'll take it really quick. Carly asked, can we see a couple previous slides? Absolutely. Everyone will get the deck afterwards. So there we go. Next question for Tom. Any valuable lessons that you have learned in this industry that have stuck with you most outside of meeting Grant Cardone?
No, actually, Grant was lucky to meet me.
Oh, but, there you go.
No, I'm just kidding. Grant, I have a great admiration for Grant. He's done a great job. But Alan Ram, I mean, I've got so many great salespeople that became trainers for me that are now all millionaires. As a matter of fact, one of my students now owns 43 dealerships. Another one owns 12. So it's a matter of literally, if I went back, I wasted 3 years in the car business by being grossly undermanaged. It wasn't until I started finding out that the phone was something that could just be unlimited. I know we're texting, I know we're emailing, but if you're going to go all electronic, then you suck and you're afraid of direct contact. When you're on the phone with someone, you can hear them, you can feel them, and they can hear you, and they know you. And I'm not going to send a happy birthday email. I'm going to call them up. You have to make calls, and you don't have to. It's not how many calls you make; it's the quality, not the quantity. You can sell 20 units a month on less than 10 quality conversations a day. So, what was the thing that I got most of all is work ethic and coachability. I've always had work ethic. I was always coachable, but I had managers that were reactive, not proactive. The industry has been so screwed up for so long It's like the theory of equal incompetence. They all make the same mistake, but nobody gets hurt because they gotta buy a car from somebody. That's so stupid. It is so easy for a dealership. If a dealership really wants to, and I'll start with a phone conversation with you, but if a dealership really, really wants to go up, and if it's a dealer watching, I'll tell them it'll be a waste of your time, or your money and my time, if your management team your whole management team isn't totally into, hey, you show us how to grow our store 25% within 90 days without spending a dime in advertising. I'm interested, right? Any store, anywhere can do that, as long as you have a couple cars in the lot.
Awesome. We got time for one more question.
All right.
This is a good one from Brian.
Right.
So we're a small store in rural East Texas. We're having real difficulties with marketing, inventory selection, and allocation. Brian feels it's hard to hold his salespeople accountable to sell higher volumes when he's struggling to get the allocation from the manufacturer that he needs. How do you think about that, Tom?
Okay. I don't want to try to give too easy of an answer. How's the used car manager? Because if the used car manager, if you're really getting screwed by your manufacturer for a new car allocation, then you got to learn to shift, at least temporarily, into the used.
Oh, Tom, we lost your audio.
But you might have to shift to used cars, really get extra on that until your allocations. Most allocations are still turn and earn. So you got to turn your new car inventory a little faster. But you know what? Every car you have, there's a spot for every seat. So if you took your order base, who are more easily influenced, you've got to literally teach your salespeople how to switch from one to use and use the new. There's so many different ways to do it. That's not what you're saying. It's not easy, but there are solutions without losing people, right? And when you're prospecting people, your repeats and referrals are more easily convinced by something else.
Tom, thank you for that. Something weird has happened to your audio.
One unit every 2 days, which is not impossible, because there is a buck for every seat.
Awesome. All right. So we're going to wrap this thing up. Thank you, everybody. Tom, it has been fantastic. Again, you can hear the passion. You can hear your love for this industry. For everybody on this call, if you don't have it yet, hit this link. We will mail you one of the Trade Pending mascot wobbly birds. Tom, we can get you one of these too. We can send it to you in Singapore if you need us to. But that's it. Thank you again, Tom, for joining us today. Safe travels, everyone. Safe travels, Tom. And we will see you on the next.